What really is the end goal for TradingView? Is it to be an integration platform for the brokers? Is it the social aspect? Is it the charting technology? Which one of these do you see as being the main driver for TradingView?
Well, I think it's interesting because a lot of brokers or a lot of like technology firms, everybody wants to do one thing really, really, really well. We've kind of adopted an approach now, which is we do one thing really well, but we multiply that across a bunch of different verticals. And so in this case, we have to be the best at charting. That's what we do. That's what we're known for. But now we believe we have to be the best at things like market data, things like real-time analytics, alerting systems, execution.
Oh, wow.
All these verticals in one. And to be honest, I think that few people really think about it from like a comprehensive workflow perspective, kind of what I explained, like the individual steps that take place. And so from that workflow, we believe we need to be the best at all of those different pieces of the workflow. So
kind of consolidating the process of finding a trade and putting it all in one platform so you don't have to keep bouncing around?
Correct. I think that, and we do know what we're good at and we do know where we struggle. So actually quite interesting, we just killed live streaming. So we had live streaming as a product on TradingView for almost a year and a half, and enough uptick that it was an interesting product, especially for the really hardcore users, because not only were people using it to just chat with fellow traders, but actually people building businesses on top of it, where you would host a live stream or a private event or private kind of a webinar type video. We had a ton of usage from a very, very hardcore segment of customers. The problem being is we were really hoping to see somewhat of a groundswell. And when you're dealing with 70 million customers per month, you really have to see millions of customers use the product before it's actually considered successful. Right. And so it's this huge barrier to entry. And we have to be very, very judicious about, can we improve the product? Can we change it, et cetera? With live streams, we felt like we were getting there, but at the rate of growth, it was lagging the rest of TradingView. Yeah. I mean, usage across all our products usually is up and to the right. And if it's not really that hockey stick type growth,
it's not worth pursuing.
It's not worth pursuing. It's also a matter of costs allocated elsewhere. Like we have a small team, and honestly, there's a huge emphasis on resource right now. We've been actually cutting back a lot of like pet projects because unless they have a very distinct and defined timeline and outcome, they can be very nebulous as to what do they cost us. And ultimately, what costs us money is time. And so we have to be very, very, very sharp on like, okay, is this a defined outcome or is this a potentially big business? And so we have to kind of really map that out before we go into any serious projects these days. So
I'm glad you touched on that, because a lot of users are always demanding new features and they don't realize there's an opportunity cost to every project that a company has to take on. So if you want, let's say an iPhone, if you want multi-chat Zoom call or FaceTime calls, you're going to have to give up, let's say, the integration between your Apple Watch or something, because you can't integrate everything at once. So what would be, so I guess the charting platform is what everyone really knows you for. I had no idea that you guys had a live streaming platform. Could I give you my take as a live streamer?
Sure.
So we were working with Binance on a similar project where they had a live streaming platform, and Binance I realized that but the benefit of being on a YouTube, for example, is the traffic, right? So the reason that you want to be a third-party seller on Amazon is because you could take advantage of the flow of traffic directly on the site.
Sure.
And so if there was a way to be able to stream on multi-platforms from TradingView, it'd be worth opening it back up, I think.
Well, we did that. So we did integrate OBS. So we had multi-platform streaming, actually. So
I guess we just didn't know. Because we stream every morning, and we use TradingView every morning. So
I think that there was something to that as well. I mean, our marketing messaging wasn't really strong on it. It's not a single issue, right? It's not like the product was shitty or anything like that. It comes from like. You kind of have to have like a decision tree of, making good product. If you really want to invest in a single portion of your product, you have to think about it from the engineering standpoint. Like the product has to be good, right? But that's, for us, that's kind of table stakes. But the next step down is, okay, how is that actually translated, and then step that further down. And how is that actually, marketed appropriately to various customer segments? And there's a step down from there. And so it's a decision tree that actually needs not just input from core engineering, like core engineering at TradingView is amazing. Like they crush product. But in terms of marketing and messaging, sometimes we just don't really emphasize certain products enough. And then I think some definitely get lost in the mix. So
without going into like proprietary info, could you give a rundown of the decision tree that you go through, like a quick back of the napkin version?
Oh my God. There is no linear process for deciding things at TradingView. I'll say that. The most important factor I could say, not disclosing anything proprietary, but the most important factor is customer feedback. And I think this actually separates us a lot from most other companies out there. Most companies, I think, especially in the trading space, usually it comes from people who have been successful either in trading or maybe been at an early stage product before, and they believe, well, I've done it before. I know what the customer wants. The CTO or the chief product officer of TradingView, he's been with us since the beginning, and before that, he built 2 other companies, and he's still in the trenches on Twitter. Or on X, sorry, in Telegram, watching various YouTubes, et cetera, to actually understand, like, if somebody's live streaming and talking about our product, we want to know what they care about. And he is that humble where he's literally just in the trenches chatting with customers every day.
Wow.
That it's like a level of obsession that is really hard to come by, I think, because a lot of people build an ego about, like, I know the way things should be built. And he's never adopted that personality. So as a decision tree input, I would say customer satisfaction and customer feedback is the single largest component. Everything after that is really, does it hit that kind of 10% threshold? And what I say by 10% is, basically, it's actually a mantra used by Facebook and X back in the day was, does this have the potential to lift our business 10%?
Okay.
And if you don't see that the outcome can get you there, even in its infancy, meaning you can't see kind of like a clear trajectory to kind of put you on a path to at least having a 10% impact on the overall business, then it's very hard for the executive team to really bet on something like that. And so we take those 2 in combination. What's the size of the potential product that we're trying to build? Plus, is this actually in demand, as an example? And it's actually quite well known. It's starting to be quite well known now, but options is actually one of those key areas that for a long time has been a product requested feature, but internally we never really thought that this was a business that would actually be a 10% threshold business until we started to realize that the dynamics of the equity markets are changing such that when you have a zero commission environment, what that ends up doing is killing a huge portion of brokers' revenue. And historically speaking, the bedrock of, say, E-Trade or TD Ameritrade has been equity trading volume. What that means ultimately is that they need to find a different mix of products that they can offer to their customers. So futures has become very popular, as we discussed. But the other big product, and you can see this in like quarterly results of Robinhood, Schwab, like all the public companies, it's options at the end of the day. So more and more, because we are starting to work with more and more brokers, we keep running into this as kind of a statement problem where a broker wants to work with us, and ultimately they say, okay, well, you have equities, you have crypto, you have futures. Where are the options? And so for a long time, the founders didn't really think it was a product that was that compelling until we realized that the whole market had shifted around us. So.
Is that because of any data that you guys saw where you saw there was less interest in options, or was it just not something that was on? It was the regulatory hurdle. Why did you guys just, out of all the different instruments, that just?
Yeah, we kind of forgot about it. Well, I think that at the end of the day, it's when you're building net new product. What's kind of challenging is you don't really have a lot of input. Like you can't really, just pick some like dust out of the air and think like, oh, this has the potential to be successful or not. You really have to just listen to customer feedback, and ultimately, for options specifically, it came down to we kind of operate a little bit on, say, like a mid 2000s mentality, which is to say like, we know what the market is doing from a overall revenue perspective, like who's making money, how are they making money, et cetera. We hadn't really updated those models as fast as we could have. And the new model, right, the Robinhood type model is, it's completely different than the, E-Trade type model. E-Trade type models more traditional. Robinhood model is much more dynamic in terms of their product mix. And so, that was the main input that we needed. And thankfully we got there. So options will be coming in the near future.